Hey ladies, this episode is brought to you by my intuitive eating group coaching program, One Bite at a Time. If you desire to stop stressing and obsessing over everything that you eat, if you really want to trust your body around food and overcome the focus that you've been putting on your weight and your body, and really if you want to learn how to cope without overeating and binge eating, this group coaching program is for you. You can learn more and get on the waitlist now for the fall 2022 group at healthcoachforlife.com/group coaching. Why get on the waitlist? Well, the bonuses this year are amazing. They include a coupon code to save off enrollment, 2 bonus teachings, and while spots are available, 2 private coaching calls with me. So to get on the waitlist now, head to healthcoach4life.com/group coaching, or you can click the link in the show notes wherever you are listening. Welcome to the Health, Life, and More for Women podcast. This is a podcast for women who are ready to ditch diets, ditch the scale, and food guilt forever, and instead invite peace with food, body trust, and confidence in all of your choices. This show will shed some light on sneaky ways diet culture has infiltrated your thoughts, your family, and your well-being. I believe that no matter the episode, you'll walk away feeling informed, inspired, and encouraged. I'm your host, Jennifer D'Amato. I'm a certified intuitive eating counselor, coach, a mom of 4 daughters, a lover of all things pink, and I can't wait to dive into each and every episode with you. Let's dive in now. Hey ladies, welcome to episode 142. We are talking about principle 9 of intuitive eating. There are 10 principles. This one is number 9. And I just want to remind you of a couple of things. You don't need to follow any specific order. I know I said that early on in this series, but maybe you're just discovering the podcast and you're like, wait a minute, what about principles 1 through 8? You don't have to do them in any particular order. And in fact, I find that going to what feels like the most urgent need, what you desire to start on, is probably the best place for you. Now, I want to recommend you do head back to episode 133, which is what is and is not intuitive eating. If you're not familiar at all, there's a lot of mixed messages out there. There's a lot of just misinformation, and let's just call it what it is, garbage being shared out there. So that episode is really, really helpful in learning what really is intuitive eating, and definitely what can I weed out that is not intuitive eating. And then the series starts with episode 134, which is Principle 1, Reject the Diet Mentality. I do recommend those episodes really are the best starting point. But again, you can listen here, then head back, skip around each of the principles. And if you are new and you don't know, there is a workbook that goes along with this entire series, episodes 133 to episode 143, which is next week. All right. And if you're listening in real time, you just heard about my fall 2022 group coaching waitlist. It closes this week, which means enrollment is going to be opening to the waitlist. If you haven't gotten on, head into the show notes wherever you're listening. Get on that waitlist, because once that waitlist opens and if spots fill up, I don't want you to miss on this really amazing opportunity to work with me and through the intuitive eating principles on a very personal level. What we're doing here in this series, of course, is I want to give you this bite-sized information. In that workbook, of course, all of those key points are already laid out, but let's dive into them here now. So principle 9 is movement. Feel the difference. Now, you may have seen it as exercise, but I actually really, really like using the word movement. For most people, exercise can feel like a 4-letter word. It can feel really icky. It can have a lot of messaging from very early on in life. I mean, I can think of PE class, which was our physical education, our exercise time, and I hated it. It wasn't fun. It wasn't enjoyable. I hated all of it, which really did not help my feelings towards movement of my body or towards exercise. It wasn't until I discovered that movement can be anything. And I know that might sound really funny, like you discovered that? Yeah. Because in the midst of disordered eating, exercise was a punishment, exercise was a consequence, exercise was giving me the ability to eat. If you've ever, struggled with any of those thoughts, you might be more comfortable using the word movement moving forward. So if I had to define the core of this principle, it would be that your focus becomes on what movement feels like in your body instead of movement being part of a weight loss journey or manipulating the size of your body. And when we think about it in that way, what feels good to you means you get to explore. You get to start to look at all different forms of movement and say, what feels good to me? This is when I say one good thing. One good thing came out of how horrible things had turned for me with my disordered eating. I did discover lifting weights. It wasn't something I really had done before, ever. Lots of cardio, lots of cardio, lots of cardio, and I didn't enjoy it at all. I discovered I really do like lifting weights. So for you, it might mean you start exploring, you start trying different things. There's so many forms of movement, and some you might not even be familiar with, whether it's yoga, it's running, if that's your thing. It's a circuit training workout, maybe kickboxing. I know so many who really do enjoy that. Maybe it's a form of dance. Maybe it's walking. We've really, really underestimated how beautiful and wonderful walking can feel. Now, I'm not talking about hitting 10,000 steps a day. This is a made up metric. You don't need to walk 10,000 steps a day. You can just get up and move. So that really leads me into this other part about movement is sometimes movement can just be acknowledging that you've been sitting for a long time and you need to get up. Movement counts no matter what. So if I've been at my desk for hours, which happens sometimes back-to-back clients, recording podcasts, prepping for something going on in my private community, all of these things, I can get super hyper-focused on what I'm doing. 2 hours goes by. Maybe I'm pushing 3. That would be really long these days. But I used to be just so caught up in what I'm doing. I would hit 3, 4 hours. So now what I do is every hour I get up. I refill my water. I get up, I go to the bathroom. I get up, I kind of walk around the house. Maybe when it's not super hot out, I'll get up, I'll go outside, get some sunshine on my face for a moment, come back in. This is movement. Sitting is not, right? I think we could all agree sitting is generally not movement, but anytime you get up from that position, maybe you want to do some stretches. That's movement. All movement counts. And this is what I love about intuitive eating and this principle is all movement counts. So the core being what feels good to your body. How does it feel in your body when you move? The second is all movement counts. And that does mean when you get up from your desk or what you're doing from watching that show and you move your body, all movement counts. Now, there's a lot of marketing done when it comes to exercise and movement, telling you how often, what kind, the intensity level you should be doing. We don't use that word here. Talk about a 4-letter word. We don't use the word should. What we want to do again is go back to what feels good in our body. There are some days it might feel really great to go on that really long hike or a walk and you're out for an hour, 2 hours, and it just feels so good to be out in nature. There are other days where you might feel like, you know what, a 30-minute workout, lifting weights, or 30 minutes on the elliptical, or, a 45-minute yoga class. That's what feels good today. The thing I want you to capture here is movement is so good for our body. So finding what's enjoyable to you, finding where you can fit that into your life, your schedule on, a consistent basis, consistent being consistent for you a few times a week, if it feels good. What I want you to do is notice, is diet culture influencing? Go back to that principle one. Is this helpful or harmful? Is diet culture influencing my workouts? Am I trying to meet some sort of guideline I believe I should be doing? Or am I listening to my body? And I can tell you, you can notice the difference. When I was in my deep disordered eating, I would work out during injury. I would not take more than a rest day. I worked out 6 days a week, 2 to 3 hours every day. I was like beating and abusing my body to the point of exhaustion. And I want to encourage you, if you're in that space, maybe you are doing everything in the name of quote unquote health and you're struggling, that I just want to encourage you that you can take a rest day. Rest is just as important to movement as the movement itself. You can start wherever you are. If that means you walk, I would say, this is my example, depending on where you live, it may or may not fit, but walk to the mailbox and back. Walk to the next house and back. If your body feels most comfortable doing that to start, great, start there. There's this World Wide Web, right? YouTube is full of resources. There's people in all size bodies at all fitness levels with free content, chair exercises, floor exercises. There's amazing apps out there, or just a podcast to listen to, right? While you're taking that walk, moving your body. Find some favorite music, something you find really enjoyable, create a playlist and go. Again, the key, the core, the crux of all of this is movement should be enjoyable. We talk about food being satisfying, that our body needs that nourishment, right? We need to honor our hunger and our fullness, but we also need to honor satisfaction. It's the same here. Our body really does well when we move. Our organs like it, our digestive system, our muscles, our bones, our joints, it's so good to move. But satisfaction, right? The pleasure, the enjoyment is just as important when it comes to movement. So if you are just starting out, maybe your only focus right now is sitting less. That maybe your job requires a lot of sitting. Maybe that's just something that your body needs. You have a hard time with movement. So your only focus can be sitting less. Maybe you set a timer on your phone every 30 minutes and you just get up, you move from one spot to the next, come back. This can be a starting movement goal. You can build on that over time. Notice how you feel when you've sat less during the day. And you kind of add up those times like, wow, I've actually moved quite a bit today. I've had clients where their main focus is just sitting less. They get up more often because maybe they have that similar personality. They get so focused on what they're doing, or, sitting just for prolonged periods of time. And they're like, wow, I really am moving way more than I thought now that I'm just sitting less without going to a gym or, fitting in this specific workout. That is a beautiful, wonderful place to start. If you take anything away from this episode, it's that you understand listening to your body when it comes to moving it, when it comes to rest, is what's most important. Whether it's choosing the type of movement you do or choosing not to move, choosing to rest your body, this is what I want you to grab from this. So maybe right now, when you're done listening to this episode, maybe you've already started it while you were listening, jot down all the different types of movement, maybe ones you've tried before, maybe ones that you've been interested in, or something you're like, well, I just want to try it. I've never done that aerial exercise, with straps and all these things. I had a client once, that's what she was doing. And she was like, this is amazing. And another client who was doing the pole exercise, like pole dancing as exercise. I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing that there's so much available to you. But so is that walk to the mailbox, the walk down the street, that hike outside in nature. getting that beautiful vitamin D, right? That sunshine, hopefully, wherever you are. I hope there's sun, on your face. That's what's important here. Listening to our body, moving it in a way that feels good, and no longer in a place of the shoulds and shouldn'ts. No more using movement and exercise as punishment or to earn your food. Separating that is absolutely crucial. And so when you make those shifts, you can actually be more consistent because now movement, exercise is no longer attached to your food. That's no longer, this earn and burn mentality when you separate the two and you honor your body when it comes to food and you honor your body when it comes to movement. For me personally, it was a complete game changer to press into this principle, to listen to my body and trust it. Trust it needed rest. Trust what kind of movement it was asking for. There's days right now I'll show up to the gym thinking, all right, I'm going to do some arm day today. I'm going to lift weights. And then my body's like, no, I don't have that in me today. Whether it wasn't a good night of sleep or I just am somewhere in my cycle where my body's like, I don't have that kind of energy. I just walk. I listen to podcasts, I put on my favorite music, and I just walk. And I walk indoors at my gym because I do live in Arizona where currently in the summer it's 7,000 degrees outside. So that's my choice. And I feel much better in the air conditioning than I do outside this time of year. But I listen to my body. I've learned to trust. It knows. It knows when I need rest and it knows when I need to move. I also incorporate what I shared with you here. Every single day, I'm incorporating sitting less, which feels really, really good. It's also that break my brain needs to kind of just walk away from what I'm doing, take a deep breath, and then come back. All right, I hope this was helpful. I hope that this has given you something. Maybe you are writing that list of all the movements. Maybe you're starting to see that, I need to change my language. Stop calling it exercise and use movement for right now while I'm in that healing place, healing my relationship with food and my body, that I need to start looking at movement even differently. I can't believe that the next principle is 10 and this one is often neglected when people are talking about intuitive eating that just don't know what they're talking about because nutrition is so important. But the perspective we take on it when we talk about Principle 10 in the next episode, the final in this series, really is about being gentle with yourself and in what you're eating. All right, I can't wait for Principle 10, Honor Your Health, Gentle Nutrition. But for now, let's go move our bodies. I think I'll stop here and get up and go walk around for a minute in my house before coming back. All right, until next week. Hey ladies, I took that quick break, but I wanted to come back on really quickly to remind you that the waitlist closes July 22nd of 2022 for the fall 2022 group coaching program, One Bite at a Time. If you are interested, head into the show notes now, get on the wait list. The bonuses are freaking amazing and they're only going to the wait list. So head to healthcoachforlife.com/group coaching or wherever you're listening, head into the show notes, click the link for the group coaching, and I'll see you in the wait list. Can't wait to open enrollment to you on July 25th.